Welcome to Healthcare Sucks! Because it's really sucking right now, let me tell you guys. We're going to start with some sucky reporting on the stock market. If you haven't heard, we're heading towards super crash. We talked about it, guys, and we're here. It's sliding down. I wish it weren't for you people that got money in there. I truly do. I hope and pray that your savings and your 401s and all that's safe. If not, you know who to blame. Yeah, the people that gamble with your money and my monies. And they're not done. They're still out there gambling today with it. So we're going to jump in with that first. Went out and did some shopping. Even over here now, stuff's starting to disappear. You can't buy a bottle of alcohol unless it's booze type alcohol now. So keep that in mind. So if you're going for cleaner, I think Dr. John said it had to be above 75%. So you got to go for that strong stuff if you're going to use it for a little tilt and to clean. But you can use that stuff. You know, the Western days they used it. I mean, so it must be able to be used a little bit. Again, if you don't tilt it too much in between. Joking aside, Italy, serious crisis mode in Italy. I'm not kidding. 100 deaths overnight. 100 deaths overnight, guys. I don't know how to even... 3 weeks ago, when we were talking, go back and look at my videos, and they're tamping it down. It ain't never gonna do it. It's never gonna this, and then you hear all these people on the street. It ain't never gonna, and you hear people on these hokey ones that are the naysayers on the trolley tubers, not the real guys, the patriots, the ones that love you guys, that are bringing you the truth, the truthers. The truth slingers. Truth slingers. That's right. Yeah, Italy. We're just gonna go to it. We'll talk later, guys. Let's start with this little dab of the stock market. We'll end up back here, but I'm starting with that. I think it's a good place to start because
our economics editor Faisal Islam has this report.
The opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. The smiles didn't last, trading having to be halted after just 4 minutes, in which time the Dow Jones Index tumbled 7%, or nearly 2,000 points.
Market that's full of anxiety about the potential economic global slowdown due to the virus, which I don't even think we've seen yet, and you end up with a perfect storm. That's what we have in there today.
It was part of the knock-on effect of the global spread of coronavirus to 100 countries around the world. Global falls started in Asia, spreading to Europe, where Italian markets slumped 11% today, German markets were down 8%, and in the UK the FTSE 100 also tumbled 8%, the sharpest fall since the financial crisis a decade ago.
These extraordinary moves in global stock markets matter not just because of the impact on your pensions and investments. There are impacts on government budgets and business spending too. There were also historic moves in connected markets such as oil and in government borrowing too. And all this matters because of what it reveals right now. Understandable uncertainty about the actual outbreak of the virus, but unpredicted consequences of how nations respond economically and diplomatically.
Today's moves were triggered by a collapse in oil prices after top oil producers Saudi Arabia and Russia fell out over the impact of the virus, leading to slumping demand for oil. Both are now pumping crude into the market. President Trump blamed that spat and the fake news for the sharp drops, adding it was good news for consumers filling up their cars. But today's fall does suggest a skepticism that world leaders have got a grip of the crisis.
Markets don't have much confidence that governments and central banks are going to be able to support the economy through this coronavirus epidemic. I think there's a worry that central banks don't have too much scope to cut interest rates, and there's a concern that governments will be too slow to stimulate the economy.
This is not just a trading panic. The market's asking big questions about not only the speed and effectiveness of efforts to contain the virus and its economic impact, but also uncomfortable trade-offs between the two. Faisal Islam, BBC News.
There you have it, guys. It's not going to get any better. I got the gloom and doom report is pretty gloomy, very doomy. Not kidding. You know, they do it to themselves. These people out there betting on nothing, betting on the virus. Like I told you in the last few videos, and they were betting on these virus stocks right now. That's why the WHO will not call it a pandemic. Why the rest of the world is in pandemic and is calling it pandemic. The WHO believes that if they can just hold out till June, World Bank and everybody else, all the fat cats, will roll those stocks over and make a bundle of money. You know what? They don't need the damn money. I'm tired of hearing about the fat cats. And World Bank is the biggest, excuse my French, puke organization out there. They're out to get us all. Don't kid yourself. They run right one-on-one with One World Government coming up, Agenda 21, Event 201. Look up any of those things. If you're new, go look up those. Event 201, right before this thing started, you put the pieces together. Agenda 21, several years ago, where we're at today, and we're heading. One World Bank, pure evil. Not kidding. With that, let's jump right on Italy.
Well, earlier this evening, Israel announced... Good evening. Within the past couple of hours, the Italian Prime Minister has announced restrictions on movement across the entire country in the most drastic response yet to the spread of coronavirus. The measures include a ban on all public gatherings, and all schools and universities will be closed. Giuseppe Conte said the measures were necessary to defend the most fragile members of the community, and he declared that the best thing for Italians to do was to stay at home. In Italy, the death toll has risen by nearly 100 in the past 24 hours, and there are more than 9,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus. Our correspondent, Mark Lowen, has the latest now. We join him in Bologna.
Hugh, tonight, Italy, a founding member of the EU and one of the world's most visited countries, is facing the most dramatic restrictions it has faced in peacetime. 2 days since much of the north was quarantined, coronavirus cases continue to soar. And so now the restrictions have been extended to cover the whole of the country, covering cities like here in Bologna that thought they'd escaped the worst of it. The virus is outpacing attempts to control it. Bologna was today out of the red zone, no longer. Italy, all of it, is now under the most severe restrictions since the Second World War. Public transport will still run, but the Prime Minister has told people to stay at home, except for urgent need.
La decisione giusta oggi.
The right decision is to stay home. Our future is in our hands. We must be responsible. There will be no more red zones, no more zones 1 and 2. The entire Italy will be under protection. We will avoid movements across the entire country.
Applying for false permits to move around will be a criminal offence. Schools and universities are closed until early April. All sports matches are cancelled. Italy is now a laboratory for how to stop this virus and ease the pressure on doctors like Elena.
It's an emergency situation. I may be asked to work in a department where there's more need. We've never faced anything like this, and we're not ready.
One of Europe's best health systems is creaking under the weight, seriously short of space in intensive care. All medical staff leave has been cancelled. We got through to a doctor in quarantined Milan.
It's very difficult to forecast when we will have the breakpoint of the epidemic, the peak of the epidemic. We are near to the collapse in the most organized part of the country.
New measures to limit visiting rights caused riots in prisons today. Several inmates escaped, 7 died. A microcosm of the drastic pressure Italy is now under. The virus surging, an economy battered, and now nationwide quarantines. It's a combustible mix.
Wow.
Hugh, it's still unclear how these restrictions will actually be enforced. Over the past couple of days, as we have travelled around the perimeter of the previous restriction zone, we have not seen police checkpoints. Flights have operated in and out of the country. So we wait to see tonight just how much of a shutdown this really is and whether it really can begin to contain the coronavirus outbreak.
Mark, many thanks.
We're going to shoot several videos tonight. I don't want to make really long ones because there's a lot to cover, guys, I feel. You heard, they're not ready. We've heard this. We're not ready. We're not ready. We're not ready. That's not what we want to hear, is it, my friends and family out there? I wish I could give you some comfort and say, you know, at this point, you know, what I've been telling you and what we've been learning together as a team, that wasn't true and that it was going the other way, but it has went exactly the way that we've discussed on Healthcare Sucks since the beginning of this, because it's not a joke. This is again, everybody put it back in, bioweapon. That's why we call it the Wuhan 19 here. We don't call it the candy-coated, CO, pathetically correct 19 special. No. We call it the Wuhan 19 engineered plague weapon. Because that's what it is. And we're seeing it when it's 100 people out of 1,000. Now you know why Council of Time Michael came up with 60% of the world most likely is going to get this. And out of that 60%, if we're very lucky, we'll see a few 100,000 deaths. Not millions. And with that, I hope everybody's getting prepared. We'll talk more in the next video. I'm sorry to bring you the gloom and doom report. This is Troy, your Healthcare Sucks person that really cares a lot about you guys. I kind of choked up a little, man. It's just, I want to candy coat it for you guys, but if I candy coat it, then you're going to think it's all good and it's all wonderful instead of being prepared. I want you to be prepared, guys. I mean, literally, I went out there today and did my own shopping. I got to tell you real quick, this was a touchy. Remember, no touchy, no touchy, no touchy. Bad habit. It's going to be hard for us not to do such things. Ahead of me in the line, I already had my groceries out, was this kid and the father. And I had half of my stuff on the belt, and this kid starts coughing. And then continues to cough and spew all over the place. And the kid looks at me, and the poor kid is like, you could tell, all fevered out and stuff. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like right in the brink of it. Me, myself, Healthcare Sucks, in the middle of a war zone. And nothing against the child. But I want to tell you straight out, the father was an ignoramus. You don't take, in this time especially with what's going on, a sick child like that out in public to a place like that. How ignorant. You know, I honestly was everything I could do to not just say something. But I didn't want, for the child, for the sake of the child, I didn't want to have to teach the ignoramus a lesson. But boy, it was like hard to do. So now that's been, every time I've been out shopping now, we're seeing that. And I heard 2 or 3 at other stores when I was out there, which you don't know. It could just be the cough and the flu or a cold. Because this thing's such a monster, it like comes out of the shadows like a beast. It does. It's like a vampire. Poof, it's there, you know, and it's sucking your blood and your energy and your life. Anyway, I thought I'd share that. It's just, I have to say, if your child's sick, and you all don't have to take them in public, please don't. And yourself, if you're sick and you can get somebody else to shop for you, please do. We still are not hearing how they're going to pay for our quarantine. How in the hell is Italy going to pay for everybody to stay home? Okay, this ain't like China, what they just did. That's what the newscast said too, basically, if you heard it. Is there's no they're not locking down. The airplanes are coming and going. Prison breaks. Prisoners got out. Prisoners got shot. You got wild people up on roofs throwing firebombs now and raising hell. Is this starting to look like the one? I mean, the one out of the movies, guys. Literally. Because what happens is when you don't comfort people and come out and say, you know, everybody's gonna get a credit card check. We're gonna postpone your debts. Go ahead and stay home. It's okay. We got you covered. We're gonna get food to you, and get on it now, today. President T, quit picking your ass on this one. You know, President T has done a pretty good job, whether you like him or not. I know I'm gonna catch slack for that one, but he seems to be ahead of the ball on a lot of it. This one is like, I think he's lost in space, guys. I think this was his child was the stock market. And he played heavily into the stock market, and everybody around said don't. And yet he did. And I think it's going to be the chink in his armor. You know, the little part where the sword goes in and kills your ass? Excuse my... That's 3 times in a row I used the A word, guys. Oops. Sorry. At least I didn't use the other words. The real baddie words. And I do apologize for the A word. Sometimes it comes out when I just get excited or emotional. At least it's not super bad, I guess. Excuse me for saying it. I apologize. Healthcare sucks, and we'll be back.